This episode of Tekzilla is brought to you by the 2012 Ford Mustang.
I've been looking forward to this conversation all week because I have pretty much seen everything but HDTVs. Aww. Do you want to start with 3D or do you want to start with OLED?
I think OLED, because that was one of the big surprises I feel for this year. It's a technology that's kind of been, we've seen demos of it for year after year, and the sizes have slowly ramped up, and now we're finally seeing a shipping product. They're claiming it'll ship this year.
Is there no backlight on an OLED television?
No, it's what they call a self-emissive technology, similar to plasma. If you think about a plasma pixel, it's actually glowing. There is no light source behind it pushing through a filter or some other technology. OLED is actually a material that, when it's stimulated by electricity, will emit light, and that means no backlight system. So it simplifies, in a sense, simplifies production. One of the big problems, though, was that the reason it's been so long is the longevity of the panels. Sony had an OLED TV out not too long ago. It was about $2,500 for an 11-inch screen, and the longevity of the blue subpixels in particular would age faster than the rest. So over time, you're going to lose your color performance. Apparently, that's all been fixed by the new formulas, the new phosphor, or the new OLED formulas and such. And the two companies bringing it out this year will be Samsung and LG.
55-inch, like 3 or 4 millimeters thin.
Very thin. They can make it as thin as can be, and then you wonder where they're hiding all the electronics. And my guess will be in the stand, actually, that's supporting the display.
What if you want to hang it on the wall?
Well, we'll see. We'll see when they actually ship. The good thing is, not only do you get excellent brightness out of these panels, you get the performance, the pixel performance of a plasma display without the with good energy efficiency on top of it. And for 3D or even new technologies, it makes it even better. But in addition to 3D, we're just talking about that. One of the cool things is other aspects and other ways to take that performance needed for 3D and do cool other things with it. One is simple, like doing a dual view. LG and Samsung have both been demonstrating the ability to...
And it's funny, I looked at you, it was like, wait, what's a dual view? And you were like, you and the wife can watch the same television and see two completely different things.
That's one aspect of it. It depends on which 3D technology you talk about. Like in the case of passive glasses technology or passive technology used by companies like Vizio and LG and Toshiba, their passive glass systems are designed more for gamers in the sense that you're stuck with one audio source, but the TV can take that 3D performance and give you two separate 2D images. That allows both players then switching out, instead of having a left-right glass system with the passive panels, you'd have a left-left for player one or right-right for player two. And then each player with supporting software, namely on game consoles we're looking, they'd have, instead of a split-screen view, you'd get your own separate picture. On the other hand, Samsung in their booth demonstrated with their active technology the ability with the right glasses, their Bluetooth-based glasses actually incorporated little speakers right near your ear so that you were able then to do not only two separate pictures, but also two separate audio sources. So that, to me, was really interesting, where you and your partner could totally have a different experience.
Does JVC have a new 4K projector?
Oh, yes. These were introduced about a month or so ago, but now they're shipping in mass, and it's basically their new step-up series. I want to say it's the 4K E-Shift technology. It's not a true 4K imager. They're actually shifting. They're taking the performance, the high performance they can do with 3D, and applying that to the 2D imagery.
Oh, interesting.
Where they'll take that 1080p image and just shift it slightly and do it fast enough to where they can literally fill in good detail and approach a 4K resolution. JVC makes a 4K, true 4K projector, but it's about $150,000 to $180,000. These start at $3,500 up to $12,000.
That's a big difference.
We had the opportunity to look at the new flagship, I want to say it's the R90 or the 90 series from them, and THX certified 3D. We were looking at it on a 150-inch screen, 9.2 audio. It was some of the best 3D experience I've ever had. If I have to talk about 3D really quickly, I have to say this year, the effect of 3D is so much improved. Stuff is coming out of every screen I'm seeing nowadays, and it seems to be a big jump up from what we were looking at even a year ago.
Toshiba made a big jump with the quality of glasses. Free 3D was a big one. Bond on Blu-ray, you're very excited?
Every year, 2 years in a row now, Panasonic's introduced a new box set that's just going to cost me megabucks. Well, last year it was the Star Wars collection. This year it's Bond on Blu-ray. I believe it's 22 movies going back from Dr. No to the current crop, and those are the types of movies that get the AAA treatment in terms of restoration.
It was interesting
because
they also announced that they're working with NBC Universal to bring 200 hours of 3D content for the summer 2000, the London 2012 Summer Olympics. Something it was funny is we've been talking about this all week. The whole everybody wants to have gesture control.
Total.
You know, Microsoft ships the Kinect 10 million units, and all of a sudden CEA, especially every HDTV vendor, has video that has people waving and sliding, and
it is pretty incredible. Everyone saw, I think, what Microsoft did with that, and said, you know what, we could do something similar. So in a lot of the premium TVs, you'll have not only an imager, but a microphone array, and their ability then to do depth queue as well. So you have the gesture, facial recognition features, voice control. If you lose that remote, it's not such a big deal anymore. You could probably, on the premium TVs at least for 2012, you'll be able just to say something or wave your hand and do good control that actually works pretty well.
I don't know if I'm ready for this.
And of course, they're already integrating all of that with gaming as far as either apps built in or streaming technology, and I saw quite a bit of that going on.
I just want to make sure it doesn't change the channel every time somebody gets up to go to the bathroom.
Speaking of which, actually, I got into a discussion. I won't say which company because it's off the record, but they actually had a control. It's like, what if the TV said volume up?
Right.
And they actually factor that in, and so it doesn't listen to itself.
Oh, funny.
It was pretty funny, actually. We got into that whole thing, what if scenarios, and they've thought it out pretty well.
That's pretty funny. Sharp's solar products.
Yeah, Sharp, everyone knows them as an LCD company, and they have some, I have to say, some beautiful looking 2012 equipment coming out that I can't wait to check out and get in our lab and show you guys. But their solar products are pretty awesome. They have a new product, the SunSnap Modular Solar Appliance. 235-watt modules that are pretty much plug and play. You're probably going to want to have an installer do this, but the price point is sub $1,000 per unit. And you add as many as you can afford, or start small and work your way up. And
so we're talking about like solar for your roof?
Solar for the rooftop. And the process of manufacturing solar panels is actually very similar to manufacturing the TFT LCD technology that Sharp is specializing in.
Right.
This is Sharp's 100th year anniversary and 50 years of making solar panels now. And
who knew?
And this module, hitting that price point, that sub $1,000 price point for a 235-watt, that's probably peak output, but still, that's going to get a lot of people excited and interested.
Are you excited and interested?
Considering I have a friend who lives in a very hot part of California, and I watch his meter in the summertime spin like crazy when he's air conditioning his house, and for peak load, we need more stuff like that to help out with electrical consumption in the States.
The man says it. Yeah. Hey, we're going to be back with some of my picks from CES 2012. Right now, though, let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors.
The 2013 Ford Fusion features lane keeping system, which is comprised of two subsystems, lane keeping aid and lane keeping warning. It works by using a camera in the back of the rearview mirror that identifies the lines on the road. If the vehicle begins to drift outside the identified lane, the electronic powered assistance steering will vibrate the steering wheel, similar to rumble strips. If the vehicle continues to drift after the warning, the e-Pass will then apply steering torque to direct the vehicle back in the lane. Thanks to Ford for powering Tekzilla's CES coverage.
So hey, what were some of your favorite things at the show this year?
Ultrabooks was really interesting for me. Not so much that, like, okay, I got a MacBook Air, I like the Ultrabook concept, 17-something millimeters thin, Core i5, fast processor, good battery life. But the whole Intel presentation was all like, nobody cares about speeds and feeds. Let's talk about the future of how you're going to interact with your notebook. So next year, Ultrabooks, 14 and 15-inch Ultrabooks are going to come out. Touchscreens are going to come out, especially around the Windows 8 launch.
Nice.
Veronica talked about the Yoga, the IdeaPad from Lenovo. That looks absolutely fantastic. And that was out there. The Nikiski concept. Literally, it was like a concept PC from Intel. We've seen these before, but this is the one where you close the lid and the touchpad is actually clear, runs the width of the notebook, and so when you close the notebook, you can actually see the little the little tiles from Windows 8,
Neat.
and you can watch things and keep an eye on things.
Very cool.
And Intel is really big on, we're bringing Dragon. It's going to be voice control. We're going to have touchscreen. We're going to do gesture control because that's part of our Kinect theme here. And so it was really interesting to watch that. For the Microsoft Kinect, they announced the Kinect PC. Shorter cable, closer focus, and most importantly, an SDK, because they realize there's this huge opportunity around developers are developing for the SDK or for the
Kinect itself.
Yeah, and they're really excited about it. Canon, 3 new power shots. The one that really stood out, new top-of-the-line model, the G1X, with this fantastic sounding 1.5-inch sensor.
Wow.
Yeah, based
Good
on
light gathering capability there.
Exactly, like based on the EOS technology, they're talking about like an ISO of like 12,800 native, right?
Native.
Literally almost as big as an APS sensor, like bigger than Micro Four Thirds.
Very good.
MakerBot, the replica.
Ooh.
The MakerBot crew had a great CES. I had no idea of MakerBot, right? These are these guys that are in Brooklyn. They make 3D printers. They've been sort of DIY. You build the printer yourself. This one's basically almost completely assembled when you get it. And, you know, you can print objects. It's a two-color device. It's a much bigger platform, so you can make much bigger objects.
Any kind of idea what the resolution is on something like that in terms of how fine of detail can you get down to, like millimeter by millimeter, centimeter by centimeter? Were you seeing pretty fine objects?
I have no idea. I know it's $17.49 for the single color version,
Awesome.
like $19.99 for the dual color version, and they're not quite like to Army Men. Maybe they are around Army Men detail on the face.
Good
not
deal.
super detailed, but stuff where you can make it out. It works better for like the shape of a car. I mean, they had this crazy castle in the booth that they made out of all these different components. So they had like the little, you know, stone wall built in there.
Bringing also fast prototyping to affordable prices. That's pretty neat.
Which, speaking of which, speaking of bringing fast to affordable, Seagate Momentus XD. Seagate's been a big proponent of the hybrid hard drive. They're claiming going from the 500 gigabyte to the new 750 gigabyte version, a lot of modifications in the firmware and in the NAND flash. They're claiming 150% performance. Basically, excuse me, 1.5 times as fast, not 100. So faster drive. If you haven't seen it, you know, we've talked about it. Nan's talked about it on Tekzilla, where you get a lot of the benefit of an SSD with the capacity and somewhat closer to the price of a traditional rotating hard drive.
Totally.
Thunderbolt was all over the place. Seagate's GoFlex Thunderbolt adapters. The IOSafe Rugged Portable Thunderbolt, which we actually got to see shocked by Dr. Megavolt with the 1 million volts of electricity.
Did it survive?
It survived.
No? Or we'll have to wait and see.
What was crazy is they put this little... They custom made an aluminum end cap for it so the entire interior and exterior device would be grounded. And then one of the journalists who was there was like, "I have one. Can you do mine?" He's like, "We don't have a cap for it because it's not a Thunder." By the way, it's the obviously Rugged Portable Thunderbolt means they've added Thunderbolt to it. And he put his regular one without the special grounding cap on it, and it worked after they zapped it with the electricity.
How are they zapping this thing?
A Tesla coil.
Okay.
A Tesla coil.
I'm going to have to see this video.
The IOSafe Solo G3, which is essentially a USB 3 or eSATA waterproof dual drive enclosure.
Marine ready.
3 days at 10 feet, no fans, so it's silent.
Nice.
Really good looking design, and 30 minutes of fire protection to 1,550 degrees, give or take. And you can hit it with a stick.
That might survive a week with you.
It might, and you can chain it to a wall. It was really interesting. There's 42,000 other things. The new Ford Fusion looks really interesting. I'm like, wow. Now I'm thinking about I wanted the electric car. Now I'm thinking about a hybrid car.
They have a prototype sitting in their booth too. That is just a Ford gull-wing design. It's like, I know it's a prototype. Could you really build something like that?
Beautiful.
Though? It is gorgeous.
I actually got to have Ford, of course, being a sponsor here. I was lucky enough to have a dinner with a bunch of journalists and Alan Mullally, the CEO, and it was
nice.
It was. I'll try to do a blog entry about it, but it was an interesting conversation.
Cool deal.
In
Some
terms
insight
of
into the technology, the company culture, and
yeah,
everything.
Well, it's kind of funny. He said when he started, they had I want to say 97 what they call badges in the automotive industry, and they've gotten that down to 20. And simplified the platform and just a lot of interesting stuff going on there. Fast engines. Of course, they're a sponsor. Don't take my word for it. Go to a Ford dealership, drive one yourself. Hey, we got to take a moment to take a break. And when we're back, we'll talk about celebrities in CES. Oh, the pain.
The 2013 Ford Fusion features lane keeping system, which is comprised of two subsystems, lane keeping aid and lane keeping warning. It works by using a camera in the back of the rearview mirror that identifies the lines on the road. If the vehicle begins to drift outside the identified lane, the electronic powered assistant steering will vibrate the steering wheel, similar to rumble strips. If the vehicle continues to drift after the warning, the ePass will then apply steering torque to direct the vehicle back in the lane. Thanks to Ford for powering Tekzilla's CES coverage.